Very good afternoon, friends. A new requirement in GST from 1st of March 2024 is that for those taxpayers who are required to generate e-invoices mandatorily, that is those taxpayers with an aggregate annual turnover of more than 5 crores rupees, before generation of the E-Waybill from 1st of March 2024, it is mandatorily required for such taxpayers to generate the e-invoice in case of business to business and business to export transactions and report the details of the e-invoice, that is IRN, etc. in the E-Waybill. In case the IRN and other e-invoice details are not reflected on the E-Waybill, then the NIC system would automatically block you from generation of E-Waybill. In simple terms, from 1st of March 2024, for any movement of goods from your factory, warehouse, workshop, etc., where E-Waybill is mandatory, e-invoice has to be generated before the generation of E-Waybill and before the movement of the goods. So why such a stringent condition has come into being? Let us understand as expected. Say an unscrupulous taxpayer or an unscrupulous person generates a invoice. As of now, 30 days time is there for generation of e-invoice. So he generates a tax invoice, generates an E-Waybill on the basis of the tax invoice and moves the material. After one day, when the material reaches to the consignee's place, then he cancels the E-Waybill. E-invoice is not generated. The invoice which is generated, that is also cancelled ab initio, and therefore the system is gamed by such unscrupulous taxpayer. Possibly due to such unscrupulous and malpractices, this kind of stringent condition has come. But now this stringent condition has come for all the taxpayers and therefore systems have to be built. So let us understand what are the implications of this amendment to the GST procedures. As of now, where a taxpayer generates an e-invoice, transporter details are optional. So in case transporter details are fed in, then E-Waybill part A as well as part B may be auto generated. In case transporter details are not fed in, then part A is auto generated and part B would be subsequently generated when transporter details are available. Now the e-invoice with or without the transporter details have to be generated before generation of E-Waybill, and whether or not the E-Waybill is auto generated on the generation of e-invoice, but before the generation of E-Waybill, the e-invoice has to be generated and the IRN number and other E-Waybill e-invoice details have to be put in the E-Waybill, and only then the E-Waybill can be generated. This as logical is not applicable for B2C invoices, because e-invoice is not required for B2C invoices. It is not applicable for non-taxable supplies, exempt supplies, non-GST supplies, movements which are not supplies like movement of goods for job work which happens on the basis of delivery challans, and of course it is not required for those taxpayers who are not required to generate e-invoices, that is those taxpayers with an aggregate annual turnover under GST of less than 5 crores rupees. However, it is applicable for B2B, B2E invoices and also for those movements like knockdown, semi-knockdown or movement in lots. So let us understand with an example. In case you move a consignment of one invoice in 5 vehicles, then you need to generate an e-invoice first. Thereafter you need to generate 4 delivery challans. The first 4 movements would happen on the basis of delivery challans and e-Waybills, where e-invoice details are not required, but the 5th and the final movement has to happen on the basis of e-invoice and an e-Waybill which is generated on the basis of e-invoice details. Same in the condition of movements in lots. Further, even in case the transporter generates part B, in some cases we know that the transporter practically generates part A also. Even in such cases, in case the supplier is required to generate e-invoice, then even though the transporter is making the part A or part B, even then the e-invoice details has to be fed in the system before generating the e-Waybill. In case of bill to ship to model, where say for example the shipper is required to generate e-invoices, but the billing party is not required to generate e-invoices. In case the e-Waybill is generated on the invoice of the shipping party, then IRN and other details need to be fed in the e-Waybill. But if the e-Waybill is generated on the basis of the invoice of the billing party, then the e-invoice details are not required. So friends, this is a very important amendment and it requires a lot of changes in the systems. Therefore, the ASP, GSPs and the IT and the GST departments and the finance departments have to work hand in hand to implement this change. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Stay tuned. Thank you.